Let's go. Hello and welcome to Sunlit Freedom, the only podcast in the world where every episode is out in the sun. On today's episode, we're going to dive into a very interesting topic. It's how to be smarter than ChatGPT. Um, this is a 10-year journey for me to answer this question because in 2017 I published an article which I'm going to use as the foundation for this conversation, which was I published an article titled How to Learn Anything for Free Using the Internet. That was in 2017. It's on Medium, you can check it out. I remember when I published it, people had many failure modes where they didn't want to accept that idea as true. So I'm going to combine that article, which was just using the internet to learn things, along with ChatGPT. So to start with, let's go to an idea I coined where we separate the different types of intelligence. So I used Brian Johnson's 8 hours sleep idea as a version of this. So Brian Johnson knows and accepts the fact, which I accept as truth, which is everyone should be sleeping 8 hours with the sun because they will feel better. There's no debate about it. Everybody who argues with it often uses their phone in bed or some garbage thing like that. So there's no non-24 circadian rhythms are mostly a myth of modernity. It's mainly people using their computer devices too much. So everybody should be sleeping 8 hours with the sun. Now, how did Brian Johnson come to that conclusion? He paid a research team a couple $1,000,000 to go out there, read all the science on longevity, and come up with how do you thrive the most with health. And so basically the first layer is the research, the crunching the data, the organizing, the computation. So I call all of that computational intelligence. The next step after that is conclusion intelligence. It's the final answer. It's the thing I started this podcast with, which is that it's obvious everyone who wants to sleep, who wants to thrive in the real world, should be sleeping 8 hours, especially with the sun. It's not a survive conversation. I remember I met somebody on a hike in Peru where the person asked me, Jeremy, don't you think people can survive on less than 8 hours sleep? And I remember telling the person, notice the words that you use. Survive. Haven't you watched World War II documentaries? We know people can survive with everything. That doesn't mean they're going to have a good life. They'll survive. But I don't care about survival conversations. I believe people can survive on junk food. People can survive on anything. I want to have the thrive conversation. How do you feel the best ever? And in that world, yes, 8 hours sleep is obvious. It's not a debate. It's not a conversation. Just sleep 8 hours. So that is the conclusion intelligence. You don't need all the data. Once you've got the conclusion, every research paper doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how many PhDs you have, how many doctorates you've done, how much time you spent in the lab. The conclusion is more valuable. We can't come to the conclusions often without the computation. We need the computation to exist. But the most valuable thing is the conclusion. And then, once I've told you this conclusion, once I've shared it with you, the action, that is also intelligence. It's, do you listen to this and then act on that? Do you just do the thing? That is the next level of intelligence, which is action intelligence. Do you actually do the thing, or do you come up with stupid theories? So I know throughout this conversation on if you're how to be smarter than ChatGPT, you're going to have a lot of reactions to this conversation. You're going to have knee jerk, but what about this? What about that? What about this? Assume I've already thought about all the what abouts, and I might actually answer them in the later part of this conversation. But if you immediately on hearing this conversation have a what about this, you're not going to be able to continue the conversation because you get stuck on that what about. So for this discussion, just assume that I've already thought about every what about you have in this discussion. One of the issues I've had, I remember whenever I've talked to a lot of people and have a lot of conversations, is I forget the informational intelligence. I remember I was in El Salvador, maybe, yeah, it was in 2021. I was sitting with a group of friends, um, and we were just talking for a couple of hours. And I remember somebody asked me, I told them something, and they were like, okay, but where's the data? And I was like, I don't care about the data, I care about the conclusions. And it made them laugh because I don't remember the computation. Once I've gotten like a certain um, once I've gotten a result after like a couple of hours of podcast or research, my brain tends to automatically forget the computation. And I think this is very valuable because you don't need to remember the details. The details can always be filled in by a Google search today with ChatGPT. So the details, the research doesn't matter as much as the computation. The details still matter, especially if you forget them and you get them wrong, which leads you to have wrong conclusions. But holding on to details, it's kind of like going to school to learn facts. There's no value in that. There never was. It was just a bygone. It's only information that existed. It's something that existed for a bygone era. So, my article titled Learn Using the Internet for Free. Basically, I put it out there in a world where people still believed in universities. I don't know if people still believe in them today, and I think people are fair to have their own um, beliefs. They'll just have a shittier life for not adjusting to the times. So, in this article, I remember there were a lot of failure modes when I shared this, which was when I published this article, people thought that I was anti-university, anti-education because I told people, hey, 18-year-olds can just drop out of college. And for the most part, that was completely not the case. Which is, if you open this article, you can find it. It's telling you that Harvard courses are for free. That you can open edX right now. You can open Harvard University and you can get electrical engineering courses for free, computer science courses for free, artificial intelligence courses for free. All of those courses are for free. One of the failure modes people got stuck in was the accreditation thing, which is if you open Coursera and you open a Harvard course, you could pay like $50 for a certificate that said that you took this Coursera course on Harvard. And people were like, but what's the value of that course? And I kept on wondering, like, wait a moment, we are not actually even talking about that. I'm telling you to just get the course, just take the course because the information is valuable by itself. The information is where the value should have been when it came to education and universities. But most people just have lived so much in a credential world that they forgot that information can have value by itself. And so this is one of these big ideas I have, which I might have to dive into another podcast. But I have said this thing, which is once a technology exists, you got to act as if it does. Which is, I remember when I was in school and I used to write essays, and I won an essay competition when I was, I think, 9 or 10 years old. But just a few years later, my brain works the way it does now. So I never thought about my handwriting. So I remember when I was in a teenager, I used to get like the highest grades for essays, and then my teacher used to give me negative marks for handwriting. And remember even back then we didn't have internet, but we had a computer, and I used to think, why would I ever need to improve my handwriting when a computer exists? I didn't. It was just a completely wasted skill that didn't matter. I'm not going to become a artistic choreography. The handwriting was a useless skill. And so I just dealt with the negative marks I got and yeah, continued on. Later on, I remember another version that happened was when I was in university. Every time I had to memorize something, I started thinking, but Google exists. Why would I ever need, like, if in life I'm going to have Google, why can't I use Google for every university exam? And it's basically all of the systems, whether it's school, university, or even most corporate jobs. Um, the moment a new technology exists, people one find faults in it, which is I'm pretty sure everybody can have thousands of reasons why ChatGPT is not that good. What they fail to understand is this is the worst it ever will be. So if it will only get better as time goes on, you might as well start using it now because it will just be 100 times better for every year. So the moment something better exists, you just adopt it and improve things in your life. So the the foundation I had with that was, if calculators exist, there's no real reason to um, get stuck on learning to multiply large numbers. Like, there's no actual value in that because calculators exist. Similar, there's no value in being able to memorize facts because Google exists. So the moment these things happen, you just got to let go, adopt the new information, and act as if the internet exists. For example, for me back then, it was okay. I'm 18 years old. I have no money. I'm going to drop out of college. I'm just going to post on Facebook, get big, grow social media, and I'll meet people from all over the world, and I'll travel the world and become a travel blogger. So that was for me a version of I acted as if the internet exists. But most people don't. Every time people have their plans, their beliefs, their ideas, most of people's plans and ideas could have been said in the 1990s. Their plans they changed a little bit, but it's still plans that are for a world that's not the world we're living in now. So every time somebody gives me like an idea or plan, I always have this thing which is, could this plan have been written before the internet? And the answer often is yes. And if the answer is yes, please, like, improve on it. Like, you can come up with better plans if you act as if the internet exists. Now we go further. Today we have PhD level computational intelligence available for free for around the world. Are we acting as if PhD level knowledge is free? Which is one of the things I have, is we need to start treating everybody as if they have the same tools that we do. For example, right now everyone can open ChatGPT. Everyone can use voice mode and walk them through any problem they have. So this idea that many people have, which is I need to sit down with people and hold their hand, there's a way to short circuit it, which is you shouldn't be teaching people, you shouldn't be helping people with their one problem that they have right now. You should teach them how to get better at solving problems. So if you're going back to that article which I wrote already a long time ago, one of the biggest ideas people had was not everyone can do this, which is, Jeremy, you're good at Googling stuff, but not everyone else is good at Googling stuff. Other people struggle to know where to start, how to figure things out. And I completely understood that, which is why if you open that article, the first idea was the course Learning How to Learn, which is I believed learning was hard. So everybody should first take the course on learning how to learn. So I published this article and I gave that course as the first recommendation. Nobody took that course. People just come up with bullshit theories instead of just taking that first course and then changing the way how to learn. Similarly today, after you watch this, do you come up with complex theories of why it's hard, or do you force the person who you believe is struggling to sit down, turn all their phone and devices off and play with something like voice mode on ChatGPT for about an hour? Do you force people to grow the hell up and stop trying to live in this world where you can say, oh my god, it's so hard to Google things, but I've never once stopped to think maybe I should improve my skills of Googling? That's not a world we should tolerate. So I don't tolerate it because I believe that idea that, oh, it's so hard to learn, it's often just a coping mechanism for that person to not get better at learning. So I do not believe this idea that not everyone can do this matters, I completely dismiss it. So I do think that is one of the biggest failure modes in this, which is the trap many people fall in is there does exist a minority of people who, for the most part, let's say, have are just coming online. That's true, which is the world only went 50% online around 2020. However, what often happens is, let's say you agree with this video and you decide to do what I do, which is I now treat everybody around me as smart as a PhD. I assume everybody around me is as smart as a PhD because they now have PhD level information for free. That sounds like a very assholey thing to do, which is, wow, Jeremy, that's so mean. Like, some people are slower, they need your hand to be held. Um, but in the process, I believe if you pick this, if you choose to be smarter than a PhD, if you choose to be smarter than ChatGPT, what you end up doing is actually helping the people the most. Because I'll give you two examples, which is my mom helps tribal kids who are the first generation to go to school. Like, they're the first generation who will be writing in English. And I have friends who've started like non-profits around the world where they are educating people. Take both of those individuals. Are they happy? If I was just as smart as ChatGPT, if I choose not to be an asshole, why would they ever need my help? They've got ChatGPT. They don't need to come to me for advice, for me to come up to like break through the noise. They don't need me for anything. But if I choose to be an asshole and choose to dismiss all the people that can't do these things, I end up being smarter than ChatGPT. I end up being smarter than a PhD. And then I actually end up helping the people that are doing the help, because I think I do not respect the middle blob of people that want to virtue signal around caring about people. Because especially when I know and I'm so close to people that actually help those people. So it's either, if you're in the jungle and you're helping tribal kids, that, like, you get to say that. But if you're just sitting in your office in your university and you're like, yeah, not everyone can be smarter than a PhD, I do not respect that opinion at all. Like, you can be, and you would help those people that you say can't be smarter if you choose to be smarter. So I think everyone does a disservice by not choosing to be smarter. So now, in this, going back to the one of the reasons I say, let's assume ChatGPT will become smarter and these AIs will become smarter all the time, and they'll be very good at the computational layer. Now, so we could replace this conversation and say, let's be as smart as a PhD. Now, one of the things we learned over the past 5 years is that most PhDs are fucking stupid. Like, they are goddamn stupid. Which is, you open, you can find out hundred of podcasts or wherever where it's a doctor that's telling you, yes, we need to fight against this anti-vaxxers that believe there's mercury in everything and it's going to kill us all. But yeah, diet and exercise, it's good, but it's too hard. I can't do it. It's like, your PhD professor, you should know that that's better for you, right? Yeah, but life, man, gets to you. You can expect a PhD professor to go to the gym 100 years. Yes, I can, and I think you're fucking stupid if you don't. So the level of intelligence doesn't matter as much if your real life actions are shit and you get caught in this middle land, can't really do much in terms of action. So how do you become smarter than a PhD? God damn it, if you just sleep 8 hours, you probably are smarter than most PhDs, because most PhDs aren't very smart to begin with. Alright, now let's dive into less interesting part about the most interesting part about this conversation, which is, attention is all you need. So one of the papers that started all of this, the paper that created AIs, the paper that created LLMs the way we know today, is a paper by Google titled, it's titled Attention is All You Need. It's a complicated paper. I still don't think I can read it completely. but it changed the way LLMs and transformers were done. I'm actually going to ask ChatGPT to explain it. Hey ChatGPT, can you explain the breakthrough that the paper attention is all you need had?
Sure. The paper Attention is All You Need introduced the transformer model, which revolutionized natural language processing. The key breakthrough was the use of self-attention mechanisms, allowing the model to weigh the importance of different words in a sentence, regardless of their position. This enabled better handling of long-range dependencies in text, and made training more parallelizable. The transformers architecture has since become foundational for many state-of-the-art models in AI, like BERT and GPT.
Alright, so that paper changed the way AIs, basically AIs were trained. I had a chain. So after I came across the idea, is all you need, and especially what happened with AIs over the past 2 years, I noticed that many people were getting sucked into talking with AIs, whether it's Claude as a therapist, ChatGPT for solving people's problems. Even South Park made a video of how Tinder is now just ChatGPTs talking to ChatGPTs. I realized somewhere along the lines that it wasn't getting rid of good conversations. It was just getting rid of the bad conversations that exist in modernity. Like, take this video. A lot of the conversations I've had in the modern day are undistracted conversations like in the past years have been undistracted conversations like this where me and somebody will talk non-stop for hours. But not that many people have that. Like, I can ask you, when was the last time you had a 4 hour conversation where no one looked at their phone? If the answer is more than a week, I would say maybe it's time to change the environment you're surrounded with. So, I believe Claude, AI, all of these things are getting rid of bad conversations, and I believe that's a good thing because I don't think we need to hold on to this distracted conversations. Let AIs completely destroy that, and out of their ashes, maybe we'll end up in a world where people will start having 4 hour conversations without their phones. That's the world I'm trying to create. That's the world I want. So you could say that right now, AIs are not smarter than an undistracted human. But how many undistracted humans do you actually know? How many humans do you know that will, when you go to talk to them, are going to give you their complete 100% attention? Where they're just having that conversation, where there's nothing on your mind, where there's no phones running around, where there's no distractions. Would you ever pick talking to an AI over that? I don't think so. So, if we eliminate the stupid conversations, the half empty conversations, there's a positive vision. It's not just a vision of, oh, everyone's sucked in their phones and they're just going to be on their phones. No, let's actually try to change it. Let's find a way out of that, which is we use AIs to solve all our physical world materialistic reality problems. We free up time. Time is optimized more for, and the human to human conversations can always be undistracted. No more half-ass distracted conversations, just complete undistracted conversations. It's not a choice everyone will make. But this is why I said this entire conversation of how to be smarter than ChatGPT, it will be a choice. And along the choice, you're going to have a lot of failure modes. You're going to fall for the trap of like, AI is not very smart. Believe it will be smart. And if it's not smart, it's going to get smarter. Humans are better and we should talk only to humans. Not if they're distracted. Be very strict with distracted humans so that we can live in a world where every conversation is undistracted. Where this conversation, where the conversations I'm trying to have on this podcast every day becomes the new normal. So this is what it means, and this is the grand theory I have of let us all start acting like AIs exist. And if AIs exist, we all can live in a better world where the metric we optimized for is undistracted attention, which is In an attention is all you need economy, the only thing you need is attention. And my question is, if you're looking around you, how much attention do you see? How much attention can you put towards a topic, a goal? How much attention are you getting for the people from the people around you, and how much attention can you give? Let's use these tools by not dismissing them. Let's not do the stupid thing everyone did when I published my article 10 years ago, and everyone said, yeah, I need to go to university because that's where my friends are. I only learn when I'm in front of when I meet the professor. How did that go in 2020? Um, Without this piece of paper, I'm going to struggle to get a job. Did that work? Don't fall for all of these failure holes, and don't fall for this bullshit trap that you can't that there's only downsides which technology taking over our entire life. No, we use these tools. These are just tools. It's a good thing that information becomes a commodity because we look around us. We are surrounded by problems, whether it's physical fitness, whether it's um, architectural, whether it's housing resources. All of these things become more simpler in a world where we can compute our way, come to the right conclusions, and then act on it. We don't have to get stuck on the value of labor that crunches numbers is gone. Good, calculators exist, move on. Next, there are enough problems to solve that the grand problems will, like the thing of AI is replacing humans, is not that big of an issue if we actually choose to be smarter than ChatGPT, because the people that choose, the people that make a choice, will actually end up helping the transition a lot more. So I want a lot more people to join me on this journey and take this question very seriously, which is, assume ChatGPT is going to be smarter than a PhD, and then it's a choice for you, which is, are you going to be smarter than ChatGPT? Jeremy out.